Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Midweek War. Now, I'm very angry. I'm mad, Mike, because the Pens lost, and now we're starting with Impact because Eamon wants to punish me further. So with me, the one who made this decision is Eamon Paton, the voice of Inspire Pro Wrestling. How are you, sir?
I am someone that has watched this week's episode of Impact.
Ah, excellent. So you're angry as well. Okay. So, Eamon, what's your one word for Impact this week?
I had a couple of ones I was floating around. Dull. This Impact was dull.
All right.
I can sum it up in one word.
Okay. My one word would be farewell. Because you can tell this was the last set of tapings for two certain NXT superstars, which we'll get to. All right. So, Eamon, did you have a good this week?
God, it's such a reluctant kind of one. Because part of me hates this segment, but part of me liked it.
Oh no! Don't tell me it's that segment.
It's actually Eli Drake's segment.
Oh.
Part of me liked it, and then part of me really didn't. But it was the only thing I somewhat liked on this show.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into the Eli Drake segment a little bit later in this year's show. Spoiler alert, it's my bad.
Because us getting upset about a talking segment on Impact is a fact of life. You see what I did there?
No. I didn't. Yeah.
No, it was okay.
Yeah, I can pick a new bad. Let's just talk about it now. I like that he had a button, but see, the gimmick is when you have a button that says a thing that you want to call people out on, you don't say the thing first and then hit the button. Like, if we had a soundboard here and the soundboard would be applause, I wouldn't clap and then hit the applause button.
That's true.
That undercuts your joke.
Also, when has his catchphrase been, dummy, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, don't put yeah at the end of that.
What was the yeah for?
I think they only had one chance to record it. And someone didn't clip the audio properly. I don't know.
But again, this isn't a catchphrase that he's established.
Nope.
You know what I mean? This is okay, so if this segment happened with, say, the New Day, back when they were still doing the whole holy preacher kind of gimmick still, and they did this kind of segment, and Big E had a button that said booty constantly. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah. You know what the button should have said? Fact of life. That's what the button should say. That's the name of your show.
The name of the show isn't Dummy.
No, the show isn't Dummy. Because is every episode going to be pointing out dummies? I really hope not. Because if that's the case, you started with the wrong end of the team.
Yeah. I will say, the reason I kind of give this a good and slightly like this was because the stuff around it I thought was good. I thought Eli's promo in between, the whole stupid button thing, was pretty good. You know what I mean? Shockingly, I that's the area I kind of liked it. But yeah, it was. I will agree with Josh Matthews, who said this on commentary. It's a lot better than Huh. He actually said that.
At this point, I've tuned Josh Matthews out to a point where it sounds like crickets. Yeah, but I mean, it's arguably better than Huh. Arguably. Also, while we're on the topic of Eli Drake, why does he still have his briefcase?
Wait, he hasn't cashed it in, right?
Yeah, no, but it was proven that he got the fired briefcase.
Yeah, so Grado basically just got his job back, but he didn't get the briefcase that he had won in the match.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. All right. So we'll go to my good. The actual finish for the EC3 Bennett match.
Sorry, because there's some people that listen to audio. I just shrug my shoulders.
Yeah, that's fine. Eamon just hashtag shrug emoji. It was mostly clean. It was about as clean as you're gonna get for Impact. I don't like the result. I don't think Bennett has earned to be the guy to take down EC3's streak. But I mean, if you're gonna have to do it, at least it was relatively clean.
But Mike, Josh Matthews said "Holy shit" at the end.
Oh yeah, no, that makes everything better.
It makes it better. It makes it the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, Josh Matthews. I'm pretty sure he has emphysema because he sounds like 10 minutes into a show he's losing his breath every single week. All right. Yeah, I mean that's like a mild good because it wasn't even really a clean finish. I don't actually like that EC3 lost. So it's a good-ish. It's the best I can do for this show. Eamon, what was your bad this week?
This show?
Okay, could you be a little bit more specific?
The content in this show? Okay. I teased this. If you follow us on the Mayhem Show Facebook group, I kind of teased talking about a thing that I wanted to talk about. Because as Mad Mike Slower Third says, TNA's lost a couple people after this week's show. One of them already appeared in WWE.
And the other one's probably not too far behind.
As of an hour ago. Okay.
There's already an interview with him on .com.
Yeah.
That's amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. And Mike has mentioned this a couple times on the show that the problem with TNA has never been its wrestling.
Nope.
I'd argue that point. Because here's the thing. This week's episode is fine, but it's just really dull. And it's just really behind the times, I feel. And that's the argument I tried to make on the Facebook group was, you know, people saying, oh, well, there's probably up all this TNA talent and stuff like that right now in WWE. But the two biggest success stories, at least right now, that have come from TNA that are in WWE are Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. And you could argue that they at least had other reputations outside of TNA. Like, they're definitely focal points of TNA and very important parts of TNA, but they had reputations elsewhere as well, to where they had established a following that, you know, persisted in TNA, in WWE, I should say. And they have a wrestling style that I think really aided to people being behind them as fans and you know, in that realm. I think Bobby Roode and Eric Young will be true tests as to whether this style of wrestling and these type of wrestlers can succeed in WWE. Because I watched this week's episode of Impact, and even for those two matches and for a lot of the matches on the show, I was just bored. I was just like, okay, you're going to do that thing. Okay, cool. That's great. You're probably going to do this thing next. Oh, you did that thing next. Cool. Awesome. The wrestling felt so uninspired. Like, it was just like, it's so dull and boring. And my problem with TNA is that their style of wrestling doesn't fit with the time of wrestling that we're in currently. There are so many innovative wrestling organizations. There's so many wrestling organizations now, even with WWE included, who produce a style of wrestling that is captivating and with the times and high pace and high energy and very a lot of thought has been put into it.
Eamon, you could almost say that a lot of wrestling companies now have their matches have total nonstop action.
You could say that. You could absolutely say that.
If
And
only a company could be founded on such a principle.
and this type of wrestling probably would have been done pretty well in like 2002. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this would have been good for the ruthless aggression era, but we're not in that era anymore. We're in a different era, and I feel like a lot of these people, I worry because it's like especially with this episode, I worry that people hide behind like the whole, like, think of a great TNA match in the list of great TNA matches that didn't involve some chairs, tables, some sort of hardcore aspect in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we got that hardcore tag title match, and then the Eric Young Graham match was randomly like, we're gonna do table spots.
Yeah, everything was no DQ at Sacrifice.
Every like big TNA match in the last, like, I would say in the last 5, maybe even 10 years involves people bleeding all over the place because it's a hardcore match, and that style that was persistent in 2001, 2002, where everyone was sprawling to the outside, everyone was going through announce tables, everyone was doing these big spots, and that's what the match was known for. And we live in an era now where there is this thing called psychology. You know what I mean?
All right. See, I understand your point with this. I understand your point. But I'm going to offer a counter argument. And that counter argument's name is Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam in TNA, towards the end, was dog shit.
I agree. I completely
absolutely
agree.
Dog shit. And then when he came back to WWE, he was putting on some of the best matches of his career. And I think it's just because the morale in TNA is so low.
Not going to the tweets.
Yeah, you know what? I don't care about the tweets. I don't care. I'm sure when WWE put out that Eric Young interview, TNA morale replied with low. But when RVD showed back up, you can tell he gave a shit.
But also,
like you can and even with Samoa Joe first showed up. His first matches were a little rocky.
Right.
His first matches were a little rocky, but now he's Samoa Joe.
Right, and
he's
I agree.
Fucking Joe. Like, he's 2005. I just had a 3-way match with Daniels and AJ Styles. Joe.
But he's also 2000. That, and also the era where, but that's when TNA was almost kind of like Ring of Honor, still. You know what I mean? And still had that kind of style within it. I worry. I can be proven wrong. I worry that we're going to see Bobby Roode and Eric Young get called up to NXT and get treated as big deals, and they're just going to be able to wrestle. Like, the only way they can wrestle is the way they've been wrestling for the past 10 years in TNA. You know what I mean?
But that's what Joe's done. You see, the thing is, if you give them a story, if you give them a reason to wrestle the way they do, I think it'll work. Like, right now, they haven't given Austin Aries anything yet, but Austin Aries is good in the ring. Roode and Young are very, very good in the ring. Like,
see, I want to believe that, but I don't know if it's just in the fact that the place that they have most prominently wrestled, they've wrestled in a style that I don't enjoy.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Fair. That's fair.
I want to believe that they can put on compelling, drama-filled, like psychological matches. They haven't done that
in a while. In a while, they have done that. Especially Roode during his title run. Roode during his title run is with James Storm. Those were really good matches.
But they were also and not to go off on a tangent on this, but they were also everyone's bleeding, hardcore style matches.
Not really.
That Bound for Glory match they had, the big blow off, was them just bleeding all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trepidatious for these guys being called up to such a big deal. You know what I mean? As top stars in the NXT now, because what if they can't hang? What if they can't, go at it the same way like a Shinsuke Nakamura?
I think Eric Young versus Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be a fun as shit match.
I hope so. I mean,
I think that's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
I hope so. I do. And I'm not trying to knock the guys.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I watched this week's episode and I was so bored by the wrestling.
And you know, honestly, there's a reason for it. Because TNA has not given us any reason to care about any of their matches. They haven't given us reason, so naturally we're going to be bored through it. Like, the Eric Young Bram feud literally has lasted a week, and it's already over because Eric Young is clearly not coming back for his rematch clause.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, the Decay has already had 3 shots at the title before this one. And they come up with this fake Valley of the Shadows match, which is a Monsters Ball where Dixie doesn't have to use all of the lights. Like, I mean, you know.
Yeah. But even like EC3 Bennett, like I wasn't really into.
Well, they've been trying to push Mike Bennett really hard, and it's not working.
And I'm trying to think, like I feel like I've liked past Mike Bennett matches in like Ring of Honor.
Solo matches?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but
that's my point.
I guess, yeah. But I was just watching
TNA
it.
took the wrong guy from the Kingdom.
And
took the wrong guy.
I don't know if you saw Dave Lagana did like a blog post like before this week's episode aired about like how important this thing was going to be and how he was so proud of you know, a story that they built with EC3 and Bennett and like how the ending the Impact is going to be this powerful thing. And Bennett pinned EC3 and no one cared.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the whole story that they're selling with as soon as Mike Bennett showed up, EC3 had lost everything. That's not true. It's not like Mike Bennett cost EC3 the belt. He's saying that EC3 lost all of his friends. EC3 never had any friends.
Yeah.
He had one friend in Rockstar Spud that he ended that relationship, and one business partner in Tyrus where Tyrus screwed him over. Bennett had nothing to do with either of those. Like,
yeah, you just can't pass it as storytelling. You know what I mean?
I see what they're trying to do, and what they're trying to do is a cool thing, but they're not executing.
And like I said, this is a fine show. Like, this isn't like the, oh my god, what the fuck is TNA doing ridiculous kind of show.
It's just boring.
And that's almost the worst thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's worse than like your worst TNA show because it's so boring.
Mm-hmm. Because the worst TNA shows usually have something we can laugh at and mock. This didn't have that.
Yeah.
It didn't have any of that.
And
like,
I'm sorry, you can't look at that TNA needs to look at what's around them. Look at the wrestling landscape around them and realize that you are so behind in the times. I'm sorry. It's such a dated product.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
It needs a hard reboot. Everything needs a hard reboot on that show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So getting back to the format of the show.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it was a good discussion.
Did you say you're bad?
No, my bad for this week is opening a pay-per-view with a world title match. And that's my bad. Like,
I actually like Tyrus' promo in the beginning.
Oh no, Tyrus! I love Tyrus. Tyrus is probably one of my favorite characters on the show right now because he has depth and motivation. Like, everything he has done has been to try and position himself for a world title shot. That's great. TNA has done something of Tyrus that WWE never did with Brodus Clay. But then the match happened. and I mean, you know, it was a perfectly, to quote The Simpsons, cromulent match. It was perfect.
But this is a match that Brodus Clay has had in his back pocket since October.
Yep. And like, I think the fact that the rules of this thing have been so poorly defined that it comes off as lame. Like, why did Tyrus have to give Drew a week's warning? Like, I understand he was not cleared to compete last week, but there have been many other opportunities. Like, how about right after Lashley speared Drew? Then you come in and do your title shot. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And it's a shame that they were just using this to waste it, because it seems like you could have built up a really great story, like when EC3 eventually gets the title back, then Tyrus cashes in, and you get EC3 versus Tyrus, which is the actual story. Or
which hasn't been paid off at all.
No, of course, no. I kinda like
not really, because
EC3 beat Tyrus once,
but they didn't have a match or anything like that.
No, they did. They did.
Tyrus turned, and then EC3 was kind of in the picture still, and then Rockstar Spud turned, and then he just focused it on Rockstar Spud.
And then Rockstar Spud got coke habit.
Fucking hell.
I don't know what they're doing with Spud. I think he's the 2016 version of Sick Boy.
I guess, but why? Like, he's the fan favorite. You already have established this guy as somebody everyone likes. What the whatever.
They don't know what to do. All right, so Eamon, I know it's gonna be hard to narrow it down. What would be your change for this episode?
The in-ring, particularly. Okay, if I had to pick out one thing, it would be the Gail Kim Rosemary match.
Okay.
I don't like Gail Kim's wrestling. Because she always has to look. She always has to look more important than her opponent, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like she
is the most recognizable.
Did you ever once get the sense that she was intimidated by Rosemary?
No, not at all. And coupled with the fact that Rosemary needed Crazy Steve and Mist and Maria to beat Gail doesn't make her look like a threat at all.
Which is not what you want when your opponent is a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically. Like,
yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I would just actually have you work that match psychologically and have Gail, like build up another character on your show other than Gail Kim.
Yeah, like it should have been like watching Mariposa versus Sexy Star.
Yeah.
They kidnapped Gail Kim. She showed no ill effects at all.
Why didn't she just beat the shit out of Rosemary when they kidnapped her?
Yeah. I mean, I guess because Abyss was there, but still.
But fucking whatever. It's
all right. My change is also gonna have to do with Rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, make me believe that this is all done in one shot. TNA. When Rosemary comes back out for the decay match for a tag team match, her makeup should not be perfect.
It was also perfect in the backstage promo they did.
Yeah, like she's a fucking demon. She should not be reapplying her makeup after a match. Just make me believe. Make me buy into it. I want to buy into it. I want to enjoy your product. But when you clearly show me that this was done either in reverse order or on separate days, I'm not going to be invested in it. Just make me believe the shit is real. Like, I don't know.
Oh, actually, I have a different thing I would change.
Okay.
When Drew Galloway beats Tyrus, here's the thing, commentators. Maybe actually talk more about Drew Galloway and what he had to go through to win and try to sell him as a character instead of hyping a match that happened fucking last week.
To be fair, Drew has no character.
He does, though, or he should. I'm sorry. He should. He should.
He should. He doesn't.
I mean, but there's still stuff you could say. There's still even stuff you could say about Drew Galloway.
Yeah, like how he wrestled injured.
He literally, it was Drew Galloway has retained the title as Drew was celebrating and like selling, they just go on talking about Jeff and Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
About a match that happened last week.
That's a problem the TNA's always had. They never let a moment after a match sit.
Yeah.
They never, ever have done that. And that's when you get your emotional payoff for a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and because they so tightly edit this show where it has to fit in the allotted time, like, it detracts from your product.
Which also they did this, like, did anyone really get entrances this week? Like, it felt like, besides, like, probably in the main event, but, like,
I think Decay did.
Decay did, but like everyone got their like the first person in the matches always get their entrances cut.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not difficult to schedule. Like, okay, you guys go 10 minutes. By the way, the main event, the title match, was under 10 minutes long. Granted, I don't know if I want that much more from Tyrus and Drew, but still, your world title match should not be 10 minutes unless you're Roman Reigns and Triple H.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. So, Eamon, where'd you rank this week's Impact?
It's actually
now full disclosure. Eamon and I did not get a chance to watch Ring of Honor this week because Ring of Honor's website is horrible. So,
yeah,
Eamon, with that being said,
TNA's number 4.
Yeah. out of 3 shows.
Ring of Honor's at least shows were at New Japan, and I can only assume that those were good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also grabbed some quotes from this week's show. Like, it's literally just 3.
Please! I love when you have notes.
You noted this on Twitter. The fact that they're calling Rockstar Spud a ring rat.
Yep, doesn't work. And
I don't think you know what that is.
Eamon is the foremost expert on the Wrestling Mayhem show in the world of ring rats.
Shut up.
Him and Jen Carlins.
Shut the fuck up. God. I know you really praise Maria for like her talking ability and stuff like that. The backstage promo where she said everyone's getting curiouser and curiouser. Those aren't words. Those aren't words.
Curiouser?
Curiouser is not a word.
Okay. Curiouser can be though.
Like that's more curious.
No. Curiouser and curiouser is a saying though. I understand that. That's from something I can't remember what it is, but that's been used many times before.
And then just a random quote I saw from the Eli Drake segment where they talk about his suit, and Josh Matthews goes, "Is that Armani?" And then Pope goes, "You're Armani." What does that mean?
Pope doesn't know what Armani
is. That supposed to be a joke?
Remember how Pope is supposed to be pimping? He doesn't know what Armani is.
God.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's my. Sorry.
Okay. My ranking this week. I'm gonna go number 5. The Edge and Christian show is really good, you guys.
It's really fun.
Actually, no. Fuck it. You know what? Number 6, because I went to NXT Poughkeepsie last week, so that obviously beats us. Sacrifice was bad, you guys. It wasn't good. We sacrificed our time to watch that. That's the real sacrifice. Like, you know what is a better sacrifice? The song by Creed, "My Sacrifice."
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, Eamon, where can the good people of the internet find you and tell you how they feel about Impact?
If you want to do that, please don't. But you can follow me on Twitter at Eamon2Please, and also check out Inspire Pro Wrestling at Inspire Pro Res.
All right, and you can find me at MadMike4883 on the Twitter machine. Also, if you think we're wrong, tell us why. I'm begging you. We'll read emails on Impact if people are fans of Impact and think we're too harsh on it. But yeah, email us at goodtimesatwrestlingmayhemshow.com. We will read them. We may mock you if we think your points are incorrect, but we will definitely read them and give you a valid opinion. So for Eamon Paton, I'm Mad Mike, and this has been your Midweek War.